These are 25 forgotten British one-pot meals that once fed entire families on pennies, and today they might just be the perfect solution for seniors cooking for one. I'll put all the 25 recipes with timestamps in the description below. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You remember these dishes. You grew up with them. Your mum made them, your nan made them, and their mothers made them before that. Whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, cooking for yourself doesn't have to mean expensive ingredients or complicated methods. But here's the thing. Many of these meals have quietly vanished from our kitchens, and that's a shame because they were cheap, they were nourishing, and they were absolutely delicious. They were also designed for exactly the kind of cooking that makes sense when you're on your own. One pot, simple ingredients, minimal fuss, maximum comfort. Let's start where it all began, and I mean truly began. We're talking Bronze Age Britain, 2,500 years before Christ, when our ancestors were cooking stews and porridges in open pots over fire. That's not just history, that's our culinary DNA. One-pot cooking isn't some modern shortcut, it's the oldest tradition we have. So let's work through these magnificent forgotten meals, starting with the classics you'll almost certainly remember. Number 1 is Lancashire Hotpot. Lamb or mutton layered with onions and topped with overlapping slices of potato, then baked low and slow until everything melts together. Food historian Roy Shipperbottom reckoned it grew popular because cheap local coal and kitchen ranges meant you could leave it cooking while the whole family went off to work in the cotton mills. And here's a fact that surprises most people. The original Lancashire Hotpot included oysters. 100 years ago, oysters were dirt cheap. They were the poor man's protein. Number 2 is Scouse, Liverpool's most famous export after the Beatles. It descended from lapscouse, a thick Scandinavian stew that sailors threw together as they came into port, using whatever was left. Potatoes, root vegetables, and the cheapest cuts of meat. If you couldn't even afford meat, you made blind scouse. The dish became so identified with Liverpool that the locals themselves became known as Scousers, and they even hold a global Scouse Day now, which started back in the year 2000. Number 3 is Welsh Cawl, and this is ancient food. It's believed to date back to the 11th century, made by farming families in Wales using whatever they had to hand. Lamb in the south, beef in the north, with leeks, swede, carrots and cabbage, simmered until the broth takes on what food writer Becca Lyne Purkis beautifully described as a sweet earthiness from the vegetables and an iron-rich depth from the meat and bone. Her grandmother made it every single week, and here's the real secret with Cawl: it's always better the next day. Number 4 is Scottish Stovies. The name comes from the Scots word meaning to cook slowly in a covered pot, and this was the Monday meal, born entirely from leftovers. Sunday roast dripping, scraps of meat, potatoes and onions, all stewed together gently until soft and rich. Ask any Scot about the right way to make stovies, and you'll start an argument that could last generations. Everyone's granny made it differently, and everyone's granny was right. And while we're in Scotland, it would be wrong not to mention haggis, which belongs to this same tradition of stretching offal and oatmeal into something deeply warming. Like stovies, it proves that Scotland has always known how to make the very most of very little. Number 5 is Woolton Pie, and this one divides opinion. Created during the Second World War by Francois Latry, the head chef at the Savoy Hotel in London, and named after Lord Woolton, the Minister of Food. Potatoes, turnips, carrots, cauliflower, and spring onions under a pastry or mashed potato crust with no meat whatsoever. The public weren't exactly thrilled about it, but the government pushed it hard. Lord Woolton himself sat eating the pie in front of press cameras, grinning away. And there's a lovely detail buried in the story. The original recipe didn't include onions because Latry couldn't get them. His usual supply came from the Breton onion johnnies, who were stuck in Nazi-occupied France. Number 6 is peas pudding, which goes back centuries. Dried peas boiled into a thick, savoury porridge. It was the staple starch of Britain long before potatoes arrived. You'll still find it in parts of the northeast, but most of the country has forgotten it entirely. Number 7 is corned beef hash, wartime Britain's faithful friend. That tin of corned beef, opened with that little key, was mixed with potatoes and fried until crispy on the outside. It was simple and filling, and one tin stretched to feed an entire family. Numbers 8 and 9 are bubble and squeak, and bread and dripping, 2 meals that existed purely because waste was unthinkable. Leftover vegetables from the Sunday roast, fried together until golden. And cooled beef dripping spread on bread, often with a layer of savoury jelly underneath. These were calories that kept working people going through long, hard days. Number 10 is Cullen Skink, from the fishing town of Cullen on the Moray Firth. Smoked haddock, potatoes and onions in a creamy broth. Number 11 is Scotch broth, with mutton, barley and root vegetables. Number 12 is steak and kidney pudding, steamed for hours in suet pastry until tough, cheap cuts turned genuinely tender. Number 13 is toad in the hole, sausages baked in Yorkshire pudding batter. 14 is kedgeree, brought back from India with smoked haddock, rice and curry powder. 15 is oxtail soup. It uses the cheapest cut on the animal, cooked until it fell apart completely. Number 16, tripe and onions, cow stomachs simmered in milk. Tripe shops once lined our high streets, and now they are virtually extinct. 17 and 18 are jellied eels and eel pie, the East End of London. They ran on these, with street stalls and pie shops feeding generations of dock workers and market traders. 19 is lobby from Staffordshire, similar to Scouse, but with its own character, bulked out with pearl barley. Number 20, lobscoes from North Wales are the northern cousin of Cawl, with everything cut smaller. 21 is bacon and bean pottage, a medieval English dish that actually crossed the Atlantic and became Boston baked beans. Number 22, vegetable pottage, the true peasant meal of oats, barley, cabbage and whatever herbs grew wild. Number 23, the Welsh poor man's pot, with potatoes, swede, onions and smoky bacon. 24 is the wartime everything in stew, which was exactly what it sounds like. And 25 is economical root vegetable pottage, 6 carrots, 6 turnips, 6 onions, 3 heads of celery and 3 parsnips simmered gently for 2 hours. Now here's why I wanted to share all of these with you. If you are living alone and cooking feels like a chore, these meals were literally designed for your situation. One pot, cheap ingredients, leftovers that store beautifully in the fridge for 3 days or the freezer for 2 months. A slow cooker means you can put everything in during the morning and come back to a hot meal in the evening without standing over a stove. In fact, almost every single one of these recipes works beautifully in a slow cooker, and if you do not own one yet, it might be the best small investment you make this year. Set it, leave it, and your meal is ready when you are. That's the magic of slow cooker cooking for one. Nutritionally, these dishes are genuinely good for you too. Soft cooked vegetables are easier to digest, root vegetables provide fibre, and broth-based meals keep you hydrated. Both NHS guidance and Age UK recommend that older adults pay particular attention to calcium, vitamin D, and B vitamins, and many of these traditional recipes deliver exactly that through bone broths, legumes, and leafy vegetables. During the war, rationing actually improved the nation's health. Less sugar, less fat, more vegetables. The Wartime Ministry of Food knew that, and our grandparents learned it firsthand. Simple food, cooked well in one pot, is enough. These 25 meals fed Britain through poverty, through the Industrial Revolution, through 2 world wars, and through the lean years in between. They deserve to be remembered, not just as history, but as living, breathing recipes that still have a job to do. So dig out that old pot, or dust off that slow cooker, pick one of these meals, and cook something your nan would be proud of.